If you're watching this, it means I'm still alive. Our wedding was supposed to start in 30 minutes. Instead, I'm running for my life. The man I was about to marry was about to sacrifice me. And if I stop running, they will find me. Let me tell you how it all began. Stay with me till the end.
The sun was setting over Lagos, painting the sky in orange and deep purple as traffic hummed across Victoria Island. From the large glass windows of the Grand Aurora Event Hall, the city looked magical, alive, vibrant, unstoppable. Inside, everything shimmered in gold and white. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen stars. Roses lined the aisle in perfect symmetry. A live band played soft love songs while guests in expensive ASO-EB outfits laughed, took photos, and admired the decoration. At the center of it all stood Emma Carter. Her white gown hugged her slim figure perfectly, flowing like water down to the polished marble floor. Her makeup was flawless, her smile almost too perfect. She stared at herself in the mirror inside the bridal suite. "You're really doing this," she whispered. This was it, the wedding of the year. Adrian Omeke, wealthy businessman, powerful, admired, had chosen her. People said she was lucky. Some even said she had won the Lagos marriage lottery. But as the makeup artist stepped away and the room cleared, Emma's smile slowly faded. A strange coldness brushed against her back. She looked up. For a brief second, just a second, she saw something move in the mirror behind her. A shadow. Not normal, not human. It stretched unnaturally across the wall before disappearing.
It's just nerves.
Emma blinked.
That's what
Her
I'm
heart
telling
skipped.
myself.
"It's just nerves," she muttered.
Calm down.
But deep inside her chest, something felt wrong. Very wrong. The music swelled as the doors opened. Everyone stood. Emma stepped into the hall. Applause erupted. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. At the altar stood Adrian Omeke, tall, dark, perfectly dressed in a fitted black tuxedo. His jaw sharp, his smile controlled, confident. Power radiated from him. When their eyes met, he smiled warmly, but Emma felt it again, that coldness. As she walked toward him, her heels clicking against marble, the air around her seemed heavier. The chandeliers flickered slightly. She reached him. "You look breathtaking," Adrian said softly, taking her hands. His hands were cold, not nervous cold, dead cold. Emma forced a laugh. "You're freezing." He smiled wider. "You'll warm me up soon." Something about the way he said it made her stomach tighten. The pastor began speaking. Guests smiled. Everything looked perfect. But behind Adrian, against the far wall, Emma saw it again. A shadow standing upright, watching. And when she blinked, it was gone. While guests celebrated downstairs, Adrian's mother stood quietly on the upper balcony overlooking the hall. Mrs. Omeke never smiled. Her eyes were sharp, observant, calculating. She wasn't watching the wedding, she was watching Emma. "Finally," she whispered under her breath. Inside a private room upstairs, hidden from guests, a ritual circle had been drawn carefully on the floor using ash and crushed herbs. Black candles surrounded it. A silver bowl sat in the center. Mrs. Omeke walked into the room slowly, closing the door behind her. She knelt, lit the candles, and began chanting in a language no ordinary person would understand. The flames flickered violently. The room grew colder. The bowl in the center began to vibrate slightly. "This union must be sealed tonight," she whispered. "The power must transfer." Downstairs, laughter continued, music played, but something dark had already begun. The ceremony ended with cheers. Emma and Adrian were officially married. Guests threw flower petals, cameras flashed, champagne popped. But as Emma turned to smile at the crowd, she heard it. A whisper, clear, right beside her ear. "Run." She froze. The noise of the hall seemed to fade into a distant echo. "Run now, before midnight." Her breathing became shallow. She looked around. Nobody seemed to notice anything unusual. Adrian leaned close. "Are you all right?" His eyes locked onto hers, and for the first time, she saw something inside them. Not love, not excitement, hunger. Emma's heart began pounding so hard she thought it would burst through her chest. She forced a smile for the cameras, but inside, fear had officially replaced joy. Something was coming, and deep down, Emma knew she was not the bride. She was the offering. The wedding reception had shifted into full celebration. Music pounded through the hall. Guests danced wildly. Champagne flowed like water. Laughter echoed against the high ceilings. But Emma felt detached, like she was watching her own life from outside her body. Adrian was the perfect host, smiling, shaking hands, laughing with business partners. But every few minutes, his eyes drifted toward her, watching, measuring, waiting. Emma tried to calm herself. "You're overthinking. It's just anxiety." But then she noticed something strange. The large clock above the ballroom entrance. 11:32 p.m. Adrian's mother was no longer downstairs. Emma scanned the hall again. Gone. Her chest tightened. Grace, her best friend, rushed toward her with a bright smile. "Madame Omeke," she teased. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Emma grabbed her arm. "Have you noticed anything strange tonight?" Grace laughed. "Strange? Apart from you marrying one of the richest men in Lagos? No." Emma hesitated. She didn't want to sound crazy, but the whisper echoed again inside her head. "Before midnight." Her eyes returned to the clock. 11:41 p.m. At 11:50 p.m., Adrian finally approached her. "It's time," he said softly. "For what?" she asked. "For us to leave." His grip tightened around her hand. Not romantic, possessive. He began leading her toward a private elevator at the side of the hall. "Wait," Emma said. "Shouldn't we greet more guests?" "They'll understand," he replied smoothly. "Tonight is about us." The elevator doors closed. As they ascended, Emma's breathing became uneven. The lights inside flickered once, then twice. When the doors opened, they stepped into the upper private floor of the building. It was quiet. Too quiet. Candles lined the hallway, but there were no staff, no music, no noise from below. Just silence. Adrian walked ahead. Emma followed slowly. Then she saw it. At the end of the hallway, a door slightly open. Inside, black candles burned, and strange symbols were painted on the floor. Her heart stopped. She tried to step back, but Adrian's hand clamped around her wrist. Stronger now. No warmth. No pretending. "Where are you taking me?" she whispered. His smile vanished. "You should feel honored. Not everyone gets chosen." Her blood ran cold. "Chosen for what?" He leaned closer. "For sacrifice." Emma's entire body froze. She stared at him, waiting for laughter, waiting for a joke. None came. "You're insane," she whispered. Adrian chuckled softly. "My family has waited years for this night. The prophecy was clear. A pure bride, strong spirit, rare bloodline." Emma shook her head violently. "You married me for this?" "No," he corrected calmly. "I trapped you for this." Her stomach dropped. Inside the ritual room, Mrs. Omeke stood beside the silver bowl, chanting. The air inside the room pulsed. Emma tried to pull away. Adrian's grip tightened painfully. "You will stand inside the circle willingly," he said, voice now deeper, almost echoing, "or the shadows will force you." As if summoned by his words, the candles flared, and from the dark corners of the room, shapes began to form. Tall, twisted, human-like, but not human. Emma gasped. Adrian leaned closer to her ear. You should have listened to the whisper. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Survival instinct took over. She stomped hard on his foot. He staggered slightly. That was enough. Emma tore free and ran. Emma burst out of the hallway and ran for the stairs. Behind her, she heard something impossible. Not footsteps. Gliding, whispering, breathing that wasn't human. She didn't dare look back. Her wedding gown slowed her down. She grabbed the fabric and ripped part of it off without hesitation. The elevator dinged below. Too slow. She ran down the emergency stairs instead. 3 floors. 2. 1. She burst out into the Lagos night. Traffic still moved along the road. Music from clubs vibrated in the distance. But the world felt darker now. Emma ran barefoot across the pavement. Cars honked. People shouted. But no one saw what followed her. The shadows slid along walls, crawled across the road, moving against gravity. She ducked into a narrow alley between 2 buildings, gasping for air. Her lungs burned. Her feet were bleeding. She pressed herself against the wall. Silence. Maybe she lost them. Then, the temperature dropped. The streetlight above her flickered, and slowly, the shadow beneath her feet began to stretch. But it wasn't moving with her body. It was rising. Emma's breath stopped. A tall, dark figure began forming in front of her, eyes glowing faintly. A distorted voice echoed, "You cannot escape destiny." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't belong to you," she whispered. The shadow tilted its head. "Midnight has come." Somewhere in the city, a church bell rang. 12 a.m. The shadow lunged, and Emma screamed. The shadow lunged. Emma squeezed her eyes shut, but the attack never landed. Instead, a sharp sound cut through the alley, like metal slicing through air. Emma opened her eyes. A bright silver light had appeared between her and the shadow. Standing in front of her was a woman dressed in a long silver coat that shimmered under the flickering streetlight. Her hair flowed behind her as if touched by wind that did not exist. Her eyes glowed faintly. Calm, controlled, dangerous. The shadow recoiled, hissing like steam hitting hot oil. "You dare interfere," the creature growled. The woman's voice was steady. "She is not yours." With a swift movement of her hand, a thin blade of pure light formed in her palm. She slashed forward. The shadow screamed, a high, distorted sound that echoed through Emma's bones. It dissolved into smoke. Gone. Silence returned to the alley. Emma collapsed to her knees, shaking. The woman turned slowly. "You shouldn't have waited until midnight," she said. Emma stared at her. Who are you?" "My name is Celine." She extended her hand. "And you, Emma Carter, are far more than a bride." Celine led Emma out of the alley and into an abandoned rooftop space overlooking Lagos. From up there, the city lights sparkled like 1,000 tiny stars. Traffic moved below. The world continued normally, but Emma's world had shattered. "They tried to kill me," Emma whispered. "No," Celine corrected. "They tried to use you." Emma hugged herself. "For what?" Celine's gaze sharpened. "Your bloodline." Emma laughed weakly. "I'm not special. I grew up in Surulere. My parents were teachers." Celine stepped closer. "Your grandmother wasn't." Emma froze. Celine continued. "She was one of the last spiritual guardians of this city. She fought things that most humans never see. When she died, her power had to pass on." Emma's breathing slowed. "You?" Emma shook her head. No, I don't have powers. Celine leaned in. You survived a direct shadow attack tonight without being consumed. That alone proves it. Emma remembered something. As the shadow lunged, for a split second, she had felt heat in her chest. Not fear, energy. Celine watched her carefully. They chose you because your power is strong enough to complete their ritual. Emma's voice trembled. And if they complete it? Celine's eyes darkened. Adrian becomes something no human should ever become. Before Emma could respond, the air shifted. Celine stiffened. They found us. Across the rooftop, the shadows began crawling up the walls. Not one, not two, many. Emma's panic surged. I can't fight them. Celine turned to her sharply. Stop saying that. The shadows climbed higher. Celine grabbed Emma's shoulders. Close your eyes. I close them. Emma obeyed. Feel your heartbeat, Celine commanded. Emma focused. Fast, loud. Now feel beneath it. There, a second rhythm, slower, stronger, like something ancient waking up. The shadows leaped onto the rooftop. Celine stepped forward holding her light blade. Don't open your eyes, she ordered. Emma felt something rise inside her chest. Heat, energy, pressure. One of the shadows lunged towards her. Instinct took over. Emma's eyes flew open, and a burst of golden light exploded from her body. The rooftop lit up like sunrise. The shadows screeched as the light burned through them. When the brightness faded, they were gone. Emma stood frozen. Her hands were glowing faintly. She stared at them in disbelief. Celine smiled slightly. Now you believe me. Across the city, inside his mansion, Adrian stood before a massive mirror. The ritual had failed. The shadows had retreated, but he wasn't angry. He was smiling. So, he murmured, adjusting his cufflinks, she awakens. Mrs. Omeke stood behind him. You underestimated her. Adrian's eyes darkened. No, I expected resistance. He picked up a black ring from the table and slid it onto his finger. The room trembled slightly. I didn't want her weak. I want her powerful. Mrs. Omeke's appearance shifted. That makes her harder to control. Adrian turned slowly. I don't want to control her. A faint shadow moved across his reflection. I want to break her. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, Emma stared at the city below. Her hands had stopped glowing, but something inside her had permanently changed. She wasn't just running anymore. She was becoming. And somewhere in the darkness, her husband was preparing for the next hunt. Dawn crept slowly over Lagos. Emma hadn't slept. She stood barefoot on the rooftop staring at her hands as early morning traffic began its daily symphony below. Danfo buses honked. Hawkers shouted. The city woke up unaware that darkness had tried to claim one of its daughters the night before. Celine stood behind her. Again, she said calmly. Emma exhaled and closed her eyes. She focused on the second heartbeat inside her, the deeper rhythm she had felt before. Nothing. Frustration rose. I can't just turn it on whenever I want, she snapped. Celine crossed her arms. You turned it on when you were about to die. That's not helpful. Celine stepped closer. Power responds to emotion. Fear awakened it, but fear cannot control it. Emma clenched her fists. My husband tried to sacrifice me. That's enough emotion. Yes, Celine said quietly, but anger is unstable. Emma's breathing slowed. She thought about her grandmother, her childhood, the normal life she thought she had. Then she remembered Adrian's cold voice. You will stand inside the circle willingly. Something shifted inside her again. This time, not panic. Resolve. Warmth spread from her chest down her arms. Golden light flickered between her fingers. Stronger. Steadier. Celine nodded. Good. Emma opened her eyes. The light did not explode this time. It flowed. Controlled. For the first time since the wedding, she felt powerful instead of hunted. Emma's phone had been buzzing non-stop since midnight. Missed calls, messages, news alerts. She finally checked social media. Her wedding photo was everywhere, but so was something else. Security footage had leaked. Footage of her running barefoot into the street in a torn wedding gown. Headlines read, "Bride flees wedding reception. Was the marriage a scam? Emma Carter mental breakdown?" Her stomach twisted. Then her phone rang again. Grace. Emma hesitated before answering. "Emma, where are you?" Grace's voice sounded frantic. "I'm safe." "What happened? Adrian told everyone you had a panic attack and ran off." Emma's jaw tightened. He lied. There was silence. "Grace," Emma said carefully, "if I tell you something, you have to believe me." Another pause. "I'm listening." Emma lowered her voice. "He tried to sacrifice me." Silence. Then a small laugh. "Emma, this isn't funny." "I'm not joking." Grace's breathing changed. "You need help," she whispered. The words hit harder than expected. "Grace!" "You're not thinking clearly. Adrian loves you." Emma's chest tightened. "You don't know him." Grace's tone hardened. "I know you're ruining your own life right now." The call ended. Emma stared at her phone. Celine had been listening quietly. "Trust breaks quickly when fear is involved," Celine said. Emma swallowed. But Grace wouldn't. Her phone buzzed again. A location pin from Grace with one message. "Come talk face to face." Celine's expression darkened. "That's a trap." The location was an underground parking lot near Lucky. Dim lighting, empty spaces, echoes. Emma stepped out of a taxi slowly. Celine stayed hidden in the shadows nearby. Grace stood beside a black SUV. She looked normal, concerned, almost relieved. "Thank God you came," Grace said, stepping forward. Emma studied her friend carefully. "You don't believe me, do you?" Grace hesitated. "I think you're confused." Emma's heart sank. Then she saw it. The SUV door behind Grace opened. Adrian stepped out, perfectly dressed, calm. Smiling, Emma's blood ran cold. Grace stepped back. "Emma, please, just talk to him." Betrayal cut deeper than fear. "You told him where I was," Emma whispered. Grace looked torn but didn't deny it. "I'm trying to help you." Adrian approached slowly. "No more running," he said smoothly. Emma felt the air shift. Shadows pooled around the edges of the parking lot. "You used her," Emma said. Adrian shrugged. "She was worried about you." Grace looked between them, confusion growing. "What's happening?" she whispered. The shadows began crawling up the concrete pillars. Grace gasped. "Adrian, what is that?" He didn't answer. He simply looked at Emma. "Come willingly this time." Emma's fear turned to anger. Her chest burned. Golden light flared around her hands. Grace stumbled back in shock. "You aren't lying," she breathed. The shadows lunged. Emma raised her arms. A wave of golden energy blasted outward. Concrete cracked. Cars shook. The shadows disintegrated in flashes of light. Grace fell to the ground, shaking. Adrian shielded himself, eyes dark with excitement. "Yes," he whispered. "That's what I wanted to see." The explosion of light hadn't gone unnoticed. People nearby screamed. Phones recorded. Within minutes, videos were spreading online. A bride glowing with golden light. A mysterious blast in a parking structure. Legos was watching. Emma's breathing was heavy. She stared at Adrian. "Stay away from me." He straightened his jacket. "You're stronger than I expected." Sirens echoed in the distance, police approaching. Adrian stepped back toward the SUV. "This isn't over," he said calmly. Then he looked at Grace. "Next time," he added softly, "choose your loyalty carefully." He got into the vehicle. The SUV drove away before police entered the area. Emma turned to Grace. Her friend was pale, trembling. "I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know." Emma looked at her. The betrayal still hurt, but the fear in Grace's eyes was real. "It's bigger than you think," Emma said quietly. Across Lagos, people replayed the video. News stations interrupted programming. One headline began trending: "The Glowing Bride of Lagos." Emma wasn't just being hunted anymore. She was exposed. And Adrian? He had just made their war public. By evening, Lagos felt different. The sky turned an unnatural shade of gray, not storm clouds, not Harmattan haze. Something heavier. News stations replayed the parking lot footage non-stop. Social media was divided. Some called Emma a fraud. Some called her a witch. Some called her a hero. Emma stood in Celine's rooftop sanctuary, watching it all unfold on a small television. "This is exactly what he wanted," Celine said quietly. Emma nodded. "He's pushing me into the open." As if on cue, the lights across several buildings in Victoria Island flickered, then went out. One by one, entire streets fell into darkness. People screamed, cars stopped, traffic lights died. A ripple of shadow moved across the skyline like smoke swallowing the city. Emma's heart dropped. "He's not hiding anymore," she whispered. Celine's voice was tense for the first time. "He's starting the final ritual." "Where?" Celine closed her eyes briefly, then pointed toward the water. "The old Omeki estate, by the docks." Emma didn't hesitate. "Then we end this tonight." The Omeki waterfront estate loomed like a fortress against the darkened sky. Waves crashed violently against the dock. Lightning flashed without thunder. The gates were already open, like he was expecting her. Emma stepped forward, golden energy faintly glowing beneath her skin. Celine walked beside her. "Once he completes the ritual," Celine warned, "he won't just control shadows, he will become something fused with them." Emma's jaw tightened. "Then we don't let him finish." They entered the mansion. The grand hall had transformed. The marble floor was covered in black markings. Candles floated mid-air. At the center, Adrian stood inside a massive ritual circle. His suit jacket was gone. Dark veins pulsed beneath his skin like living ink. Mrs. Omeke chanted nearby, her voice shaking with intensity. "You came," Adrian said calmly, though his voice now echoed with something deeper. Emma stepped forward. "End this." He smiled slowly. "I'm just beginning." The air exploded. Shadows burst from the walls, forming towering creatures with elongated limbs and hollow faces. Celine drew her light blade instantly. "Stay focused," she shouted. The battle began. Emma moved with new confidence. She dodged a shadow strike and countered with a blast of golden energy that shattered one creature into smoke. Celine sliced through two more, but the creatures kept reforming. Adrian raised his arms. The ritual circle began glowing black. "You see," he said, "you were meant to stand beside me. Together we could rule what others fear." Emma felt the pull of the circle. It tugged at her power, trying to siphon it. She dropped to one knee. Celine screamed, "He's feeding off you!" Emma gritted her teeth. Memories flashed. Her childhood, her grandmother's laughter, the moment Adrian called her an offering. Her anger surged. But this time, she didn't let it explode wildly. She controlled it, focused it, directed it. She stood slowly. Golden light began rising from her feet upward, stronger than before, brighter. Adrian's confident expression finally faltered. "That's impossible." Emma stepped into the ritual circle willingly, but not as a victim, as a guardian. The moment her feet crossed the line, her power collided with his. Light against shadow. The mansion shook violently. Windows shattered. The dock cracked. Outside, the ocean roared. Adrian screamed as the golden energy wrapped around him. "You were never meant to consume me," Emma said steadily. "You were meant to reveal me." She thrust her hands forward. A massive burst of golden light exploded outward. The ritual circle shattered. The floating candles burst into sparks. The shadow creatures dissolved instantly. Mrs. Omeke collapsed unconscious, and Adrian was thrown across the hall. When the light faded, he lay still. The dark veins on his skin had vanished. The mansion was silent. The city lights in the distance began flickering back on, power restored. Emergency sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Celine helped Emma steady herself. "You did it," she said softly. Emma looked at Adrian, alive, but powerless. For now. Police would find him soon, but they would never understand the full truth. Emma stepped outside onto the dock. The sky was clearing, the unnatural darkness fading. She felt different, stronger, but also heavier. "This isn't the end, is it?" she asked. Celine shook her head. "Darkness doesn't disappear, it waits." Emma looked at the Lagos skyline glowing again. People returning to their normal lives, unaware of how close they had come to something catastrophic. "I won't let this city fall," Emma said quietly. Celine studied her carefully. "You've accepted it." Emma nodded. "I'm not the bride he chose." She turned toward the city. "I'm the protector he created." The sky above Lagos slowly shifted from deep blue to soft gold. Traffic returned to its usual rhythm. Street vendors arranged their goods. Boats moved gently across the water as if nothing had happened. But something had changed. Emma stood alone on the rooftop, the wind brushing against her face. For weeks, fear had controlled her. Fear of shadows, fear of betrayal, fear of losing herself. But not anymore. She closed her eyes and felt the warmth inside her, not wild, not explosive, steady, balanced, obedient. Her power no longer frightened her. It belonged to her. Behind her, footsteps approached. Grace stopped a few steps away. "I don't know how to fix what I did," Grace said quietly. Emma turned. "You start by telling the truth," she replied gently. Grace nodded, tears forming. "I was wrong." Emma studied her friend for a long moment. The pain was still there, but so was understanding. "Next time," Emma said softly, "trust me." Grace gave a small, relieved nod. The city lights below flickered as the sun rose higher. Adrian was gone. The ritual destroyed. The darkness broken. Emma stepped closer to the edge of the rooftop and looked out over Lagos. No whispers, no shadows rising. Only morning, only life, only peace. "I'm not the bride he trapped," she said quietly to herself. "I'm the woman who survived." The golden light beneath her skin pulsed once, calm and controlled, then faded into stillness. Lagos was safe, and for the first time since her wedding night, Emma felt completely free. She turned away from the skyline and walked down the stairs, not as prey, not as sacrifice, but as strength. The end. Emma thought she was walking into marriage, but she was walking into war. She was betrayed, she was hunted, she was almost sacrificed. But in the end, she did not break. She became stronger. If this story kept you watching till the end, then you are officially part of this family. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next powerful story. Comment below, would you have trusted Adrian? This is Gracious Stories, where light always rises.